Deloitte's AI Forum 2025 India. In real time, transforming with AI.
In fact, I think through the day there has been a lot said about AI, and when you talk about AI in India, GCCs have actually been at the forefront of a lot that is being driven, and not just for the global organization in terms of how AI can add value or disrupt in terms of how organizations are functioning, but I think there's a lot of disruption happening within the GCC space itself, right? And we'll go through some of those questions as well. But maybe to begin with, if I can request Anu, maybe for you to start, just give us a view of the Sony India Software Center capabilities and what you're doing, and especially around your AI strategy. And then maybe I'll request Isaac, you and Kamal to talk about that as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Gaurav. Quite excited to be here in this AI forum with these esteemed co-panelists. Thankfully for me, Sony doesn't need much of an introduction. I'm sure Sony has been part of most of our lives from an early age and continues to be. But Sony also had to have the shift, because with the digital era, it was inevitable for us to make the shift from a distributor of content to a creator of content. We in Sony call this as the creator shift. And in the words of our CEO, Yoshida-san, it is called as the journey from distribution of Kando to creation of Kando. So this word Kando might not be very familiar with this crowd, but it's a very popular word in the Sony world. It actually represents the emotional connect that our products are able to elicit with our consumers. And this has been the core for Sony's mission for many, many years and continues to be the guiding principle. The reason why I mentioned this aspect is that our AI adoption is rooted firmly on the belief that AI and technology is to amplify the human creativity and emotional connect and not to overwhelm or overshadow it. So our strategy is primarily across 4 different pillars. First is people, platforms, consumers, and our products. So I know there's a shortage of time, I'll just quickly touch upon. Innovation inevitably has to begin with people. So we knew with the inception of AI that the way to begin was to democratize AI in Sony. But we had various challenges, like we saw in our previous discussion, the security and compliance, the data readiness. So with that, Sony, one of the first steps that we did was we launched our enterprise LLM in Sony. So this was an environment, a platform, which was a safe environment for most of our employees to really go out and experience the potential of generative AI. The first couple of days, we've seen more than 2 million searches on our enterprise LLM. It just shows that people are ready to go and ready to kind of explore this space. Platforms, we're moving into an AI-first model, but we have a lot of hurdles to overcome. We are looking at self-healing platforms, better conversations with our consumers, etc. So since we resonate on Kando, I think we have a lot of focus on engaging AI for consumers, but that is still a space where we have to advance a little bit more. But most exciting for Sony, and when I speak to a lot of people outside Sony, is our AI adoption on our product front. And I'll talk about maybe 2 or 3 interesting product extension with AI. First one is the Gran Turismo Sophie, which is an AI-powered racing agent. I'm not sure whether you all are familiar. Sony has a famous video game, Gran Turismo. So the Sophie is a racing agent which competes with the top gamers of this game and kind of ensures that the experience is elevated to a much higher level than when they are racing against humans. And this has kind of increased the overall acceptance of this game multifold. I cannot not mention Afila. That's our concept car from Sony. It's our innovation to integrate connectivity, entertainment into mobility, and without compromising on the safety aspect. The third product that I'd quickly touch upon, I mean, this is the key ones, is a platform called Atrios. So Atrios in Sony is an edge AI platform. It's reinventing the entire IoT space, and it is a very popular platform across various countries, supporting governments and institutions in reinventing the possibilities of IoT and data management. I think the future of AI is how we evolve with AI. At least for Sony, I can say that we are still not anticipating it. Like our previous panel mentioned, we are in the process of shaping the future of Sony, our products, and our consumers with the support of AI. Thank you.
No, that's amazing, and especially the 2 million views. Isaac, if I can ask you to give a quick view of Kenview and what your AI strategy is.
Kenview is relatively new as a name, but it's a 135-year-old company. That's Johnson and Johnson, and we've just spun off last year as the the consumer health division. So all iconic brands like Aveeno, Tylenol, Listerine, Stay Free in India, right? All these are Kenview brands. And if I look at the strategy that we have for AI, if we increase the mind share and physical availability and mental availability, and are we the prototypical, the iconic brand? Are we representing that category? Then our AI strategy is met. So what we do is dependent on this goal. So this goal is primary, and how we get there is where we play around in the GCC and in the other areas. So we are present all over the globe. The AI practice, in fact, I was technically the first employee here in the GCC, and now we are pushing 500 in about 15 months. So we set it up from scratch. A lot of AI work is happening from the India GCC, obviously in partnership with our business in the global market. But our primary aim is to ensure that we land something in production and there is value, right? It's not like somebody makes up these numbers. So there are three critical parts to it: the delivery, which we control completely; the adoption or the deployment, which we work in partnership with the businesses on the ground; and finally the monetization, our product leaders and our regional data leaders. So they ensure that this is audited. In fact, I can see our finance person in the audience here. It is audited. We have to make a mark on the bottom line or top line. So those are our guiding principles. Typically, we do things like preventing out of stock. In fact, we work very closely with the models that are existing in our retail partners as well, right? Because they have their own AI/ML teams who are working on the same. We work in addition to what they are providing, and we've been able to provide some fairly good amount of lift. I cannot talk numbers here, but directionally it shows a great deal of promise. We will scale up again in the next year globally. So one of the things that has also been guiding us is how do you arrive at the right balance of experimental work, which will eventually go into the market and get us revenue. So we will not probably see something in the initial phase, but there is promise. And if it shows promise, we are planning to do it in an iterative fashion and make sure. But the bottom line is you have to show numbers, right? So that's our guiding philosophy. Back to you.
Kamal?
Thank you. So quickly, a quick introduction about me. So I'm representing the organization Carrier. Carrier is known for its cooling business. So we are about a 100-year-old organization. Our founder, Mr. Willis, was the one who invented the cooling and brought air conditioning to the world. So from there, the journey starts, and in 100 years of transformative journey, we had seen a massive innovation. So the company which thrives on innovation, how to disrupt the business of cooling and air conditioning and refrigeration, is something we have it in our DNA. So what we are doing in India, so like Isaac, we started about 5 years back. This is the largest global capability center focusing on digital transformation. Apart from this, we also have centers in China and Mexico. And as Gaurav was mentioning, we are coming up with the fourth one. For us, the way I look at it is, by design, this GCC in India was for deep tech, starting from platforms to product development, customer experience, and now the latest buzzword is AI. which we have kept as our foundation. Recently, we announced last year to establish a 100-member AI COE, which are just not the numbers. The complete end-to-end, the artificial intelligence center of excellence, execution, delivery would be happening from these capability centers. So, which is very interesting, which gives us a solid confidence in terms of the speed at which we execute and at the pace we innovate. So, because our proximity to the other functional, expertise under the single umbrella, talking about the product, the customer experience, ERP space, I think we have a unique proposition within Carrier to deliver more at a fastest possible speed time. The world is changing for sure. I was here in the AI forum last year as well, and if anyone of you have heard me, we were talking about POC. And this year, I am not talking about POC. I am only talking about use cases, what we are delivering. So huge shift, right? That's about what we are doing with the Global Capability Center. But as an organization as a whole, we are definitely, instead of becoming reactive, I think the strategy has changed at a chairman level, where we are looking at artificial intelligence as more a proactive approach. So if you talk about our overall strategy, you will find AI everywhere. So that's our take on carrier side of story.
Sure. No, I think that's, great perspectives from all three of you. Anu, if I can come back to you on, you talked about the game, you talked about the car, and right, Gen AI and AI can be used to deliver a lot of personalized experiences to consumers and customers. So, what's been your experience and some use cases that you're working on?
So it's generally said that the key to business success is knowing your customer better than how they know themselves. And that's a tough job to catch. And I think AI can probably help us reach there. So I would say this is a space that I'm a bit passionate about, because in my current portfolio, there are two platforms that is core of our consumer engagement. One is our direct-to-consumer platforms, which is Sony's e-commerce platforms that is deployed at a global scale. And the second one is a global web platform for Sony, which is nothing but the Sony.com website. This is hosted around across 146 countries and supporting 70 plus languages. So that's where this topic of AI-enabled consumer engagement is very key. So for the last 2 years, I would say our organization has been really preparing for this. And we realized that the key is consolidation and the data readiness. So around 2 years back, Sony launched the Sony Data Ocean program, which is about consolidating the immense consumer data that we have across our various business entities across at a global scale. And we are almost close to completion at this point of time, giving us a goldmine of our consumer information. And this can now feed into whatever the AI can offer. And I would say we are now ready to kind of explore that. Specifically on the AI programs, I'll talk about maybe 3 or 4 that are currently ongoing. First one is obviously hyper-personalization. With the kind of data that we have and the possibilities of dynamic content delivery and the various models that we have, we visualize a scheme where every consumer accessing Sony content gets a personalized experience, personalized and curated offers, sales, etc. And we are inching towards that. The other main segment is the future of commerce. I think we all know we are moving towards digital commerce. The actual physical shopping experience is going to be replaced by digital commerce. So voice-enabled digital commerce is something that we are visualizing, where you have a hands-free shopping experience but get all the possibilities that a shopfront experience offers. You're giving the information about the products, the availability, but probably in your local language and as per your comfort. There are some of the other initiatives also going on, which is more on the customer service. Sony has launched an interactive AI-based bot. Its name is Nice. And we have seen, an increase. And I think we have had the highest response rate because of NICE in the recent past. And it's primarily ensuring the entire smoothening of the customer service operations, increasing the call routing ratio, enabling more self-service so that customer service, many of you might acknowledge in Sony, has been a challenge. This is to kind of overcome and enhance or improve that scenario. I don't want to stretch, but there are other programs like abandoned cart to sales. This is a humongous potential area when it comes to consumer business. We kind of want to offer curated experiences to our consumers to slowly nudge them, inspire them with their previous shopping history, predictive analytics, to encourage them to complete their sales. And we are seeing good outcome on this space as well. And the last one is on our retail experience. We've had something called the Vision AI. Vision AI is primarily, at the core of it, you can mention it like a monitoring or an automated monitoring, but it's kind of creating alerts and identifying inefficiencies across the retail space, be it with respect to labor, stock, placement of products, etc., to create a much more seamless experience to the end consumer. Like I said, digital commerce seems to be the future, and I think we have to evolve with AI to kind of accept and adopt it.
Sure. No, I think some amazing examples. Isaac, if I can come to you again on similar lines, I know you said that you do work across the consumer adoption, consumer interaction, as well as internal functions, commercial, supply chain, etc. Any specific use cases that you can talk about?
Yeah, there are a couple of use cases that come to my mind, just like Anu mentioned, right? The recommendation engines, right? If we build it right, it can actually deliver a lot of value. Without talking numbers, we actually did 3 times the target that was given to us in the Indian market. Now, the recommendation engine in our world is more, how do you recommend the next best item to the distributor? Because this is not direct sales in the Indian market. So it's very challenging because apart from modern trade, you have the general trade, which is a totally different ball game altogether, right? So in the Indian market, and getting good data is a big challenge, right? Especially in the Indian market. Now, having given all these disclaimers, one of the use cases is, what do you suggest next that will actually improve our, the purchase from the retailers on the ground? So it's actually deployed on the handhelds of the salespeople who are visiting the Kirana stores, right? And it's showing tremendous amount of promise. So we are planning to roll it out to China and the other markets as well in APAC, and then probably take it globally. Good use case. There are a lot of other things which we do on the forecasting on IBP. There are things that we do on, a little bit on Gen AI as well. Yet to deploy it, but the holy grail there is understanding and reasoning why something happened, right? We're moving to more like a digital co-worker or a co-pilot who will help you take decisions faster rather than rely on a lot of dashboards that an analyst will have to go through. Can't reveal too much, patent pending, but some of these use cases have already got patents because it's very useful. Like the one that I was talking about at the retailer side. While I do appreciate the fact that digital is the way, a lot of our business is still physical, right? So in the mature markets especially, planogram optimization, in fact, that was our first patent after we set up the GCC. So there's a lot of appetite for these use cases. And again, may I re-emphasize the part that we are not in it for R&D or getting patents. We want to land it in, on the ground and get some value out of it. So I think the use cases are prioritized based on, let's say, the size of the impact, time to impact, some of these considerations, rather than, just doing it for the sake of, taking the new Gen AI or the new shiny objects and getting, it's not a bullet point or a checklist item that we're trying to do. We are doing some of these things, but bottom line is, will it impact our, the top line or bottom line?
Yeah. Right. No, in fact, on that note, Kamal, I know you have had a lot of focus on product innovation, product development from the centers across the globe. How are you using AI, and what kind of value is AI or Gen AI helping you create in product development and innovation?
Yeah, I think for us, it's an interesting proposition, and we see a lot of opportunity with AI use cases. So one thing what we are making the shift is when it comes to our product development philosophy, right? We are infusing AI by design. So which helps us to start thinking bigger and also start reacting to the future markets and the consumer personas. The recent one, what we are like heavily invested in is about our air cooling associated with sustainability and health, right? So imagine you using a air conditioner at your house or in your businesses. That cooling starts getting efficient because the system, the AI models behind it will tell you what temperature to keep, what time to switch on, which building area has got the minimal occupancy, and accordingly the temperatures will be adjusted. So I can't reveal the numbers, but our initial research is giving us huge, satisfaction and excitement in terms of the kind of energies consumption we will be going to secure. And we are one of the product company who consumes energy across the globe at a very significant percentage, being the air conditioning company and among top two players. So the second area where we are seeing the opportunities is around warranty and claims, right? That's an area where we want to transform two things. One is our financial fitness, second is the customer experience. So in those areas we feel that our solution deployment is going to change for us significantly the way we are servicing our consumers. So today also, if you see the time we take to process the warranty claims versus after these models, where the infusion of intelligence, which is powered by data and integration, we are reducing the time by 90% to service them. I think these two areas are on top of our current trajectory, and we have identified over hundreds of use cases which will help us to bring transformation with this technology.
Sure. No, I think great examples across the three. So I'll move to a slightly some maybe controversial questions, right? And Isaac, let me start with you. I think Kamal started to talk about this a year ago when he was here. We were talking about POCs, and today again, if you talk to a lot of people, they are at POC stage. But what's been your experience in terms of implementation, in terms of adoption? Are a lot of those POCs getting implemented, or how do you see that happening?
Yeah, so let me go back to the original framework that we're talking about: the development, adoption, and the monetization part. I think it's an iterative cycle. So there is a lot of appetite. In fact, we have to triage the demand that is coming in. There are way too many requests for us to handle. Now, two ways you can handle it. Like some of the POCs, many of the vendor partners are happy to do it free of charge, but it's not about just getting stuff done and saying that, hey, this has been deployed. The adoption is partially in our hands, right? What I mean by that is if we have the right use case, multiple people across the globe will want to adopt it. However, the nuances of, let's say, if I do an India market POC and versus if I'm trying to take it to the rest of APAC or globally, there will be changes. There will be some changes. And if I don't acknowledge that, then it's going to fail. So if we go do it the right way, it has to be iterative, which is the third part, the monetization part. When someone actually quantifies it and says, hey, this is audited, we are seeing good revenue or bottom line impact, then that's a classic, a momentum driver for the other regions to adopt it. So POCs, while I would not see it as a percentage deployed, I would also want to take it in terms of time to impact. What are the other variants that are coming? Because this is evolving. Just to give a rough example, one of the products that we were working on, when we started versus right now where we are, the underlying LLM model itself has been changed 3 times. So we have to make sure that the architecture is flexible enough to keep these things moving. So from a POC perspective, it's not binary. So I would beg to differ from the gentleman who said either you're pregnant or you're not. You can take ultrasounds, you can take other milestones. The question is, can you get enough benefit while you're along the journey? So at some point you stop calling it a POC and say that, hey, this is deployed. Whereas for another market, it might still look like in its infancy, right? So there is value to be gained all along the journey, right? So can you benefit from it? So the time to impact seems to be the right metric in what we have seen so far.
Yeah. Anu, let me come to you on, we talked about talent, I think, in the previous session, and India has been a talent story, right? That's what we keep talking about. But if you speak to a lot of organizations, I think trained talent, and especially for emerging technologies like AI, is always questioned, right? So what's been your experience? What's your view around saying, do we have enough talent in the AI space, or what can organizations and government do to building that talent?
Yeah. Talent in general is a complex situation, and it's not specific for AI. Across, I think we have a dearth of, the demand versus availability. When it comes to AI, speaking specifically from a Sony point of view, I think we've taken a twofold approach. Somewhere we realize that AI is slightly different from the other technologies, talents, and capabilities we have seen. It is just not going to be a standalone skill that's going to kind of contribute to certain kind of programs or projects or capabilities. We would be looking at organizations, like Lara mentioned in the previous session, to be more fluent across the organization. So the two folds that we are focusing on, one is to make the organization more AI fluent or more AI literate. How we can engage AI across all the existing skills to elevate it to more efficient, more autonomous operations is one point that we are looking at. But at the same time, there is another segment, deriving back or reflecting back onto the point that we mentioned, that we cannot paint a picture one part at a time. So I feel that it's very, very important to understand where AI can be deployed in your organization and develop the skills and the talent according to that. So one way in which Sony is doing that is to create hackathons or playgrounds with business collaboration. These are business sponsored. So in the Sony world, we call our sales, marketing, and our end sales team as the business. And we do these playground setup and hackathons in collaboration with business, where we discuss and bring to light the actual business problems and challenges, which have more possibility of moving to a productionized environment. So it's a close collaboration. So in this way, adding on to what Isaac mentioned, we are working on POCs, but we have seen many of these POCs getting converted into actual production, especially since we are working in the world of entertainment. We have a lot of POCs at different scale. The one that I spoke about is at a much larger scale, but we have smaller AI prototypes, like probably curating the content, translating some of the content, or giving summary of content, enabling and making more efficient the translation or the subscript of a movie. So a lot such smaller options of AI enablement is also there, and we want to have the team more enabled on that. I think I do not have any specific additional points with respect to that. I think having your team enable hands-on and then continuing to look for real-time opportunities that can be converted, I think it would be the key.
No, great. Kamal, $1 million question. We get asked this a lot by the journalists, and they talk about, in the same breath, they talk about IT, BPM, and also GCCs. How is AI and Gen AI going to impact the GCCs in terms of how they are structured today?
I think the impact will be definitely positive, and it's not new, right? The way I look at AI is it's a healthy steroid of intelligence with no side effect. So, which is getting infused into the industry, into the organizations. I think it is opening up the opportunity can for all of us in terms of today. If we are doing any Monday task which is repetitive, we are trying to give it to the machines or the AI models, and the employees get an opportunity to work on high value task or operations or roles, which in turn is helping organization to grow. So if you take the entire life cycle of the way it is implemented into the organization, I think it's a win-win for employees as well as the organization and the industry as well. In coming days, what I see is first thing, it is definitely opening up one more channel for the organization to take up the responsibility ownership of employee upskilling, right? So prepare your organization to, and that will always be into tech area, right? If you recall 15 years back, how much critical and crucial was the infrastructure team. Today everything is moving on cloud. Same set of people have taken up the roles who are supporting Office 365 or Google or AWS productivity suites. I think the same is going to happen with AI also. The faster we learn, the faster we adopt the change, I think it will be a win-win for everyone. In fact, the IT, BPM, both the industries where the impact is now started coming into execution and implementation. I think the impact mostly will be the way I am looking at. I have not heard anybody in my circle who has lost a job to AI. And the only I'm hearing is they have learned AI, they have used those words in profile, and their salary got 40% more. So that's what I'm like looking at. So I think it's a opportunity area for us. How do you apply, implement the technology into your learning journey and into your day-to-day, working operations? So I think it is going to be beneficial everywhere.
No, fantastic. In fact, on that note, if I can request for a big round of applause to our panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Deloitte's AI Forum 2025 India. In real time, transforming with AI.